Welcome to RECO12. I'm Justin, your host and a grateful child of an all-powerful, all-loving God. RECO12 is all about exploring the common threads of addiction and sharing tools and hope from those on a similar path. We gather from diverse backgrounds, faiths, and places to learn and support one another. Our speakers represent various fellowships, addictions, and afflictions, reflecting the richness of our shared experiences. Join us in this journey of recovery and unity. Today's speaker for the 216th meeting is Purdy, who is a first-time RECO12 speaker, and I'm excited to hear his share on the topic of a mind that sits free. I'm excited to hear what that looks like and what that means. We'll get to his talk in the Q&A afterwards in just a minute, but first for a little bit of business. The RECO12 family of recovery resources is expanding with more support for both addicts and their loved ones. I invite you to explore additional RECO12 podcasts by checking the chat in our live meetings. I'll put some links in there and also in the podcast show notes who may not be here live and will listen on the podcast. We're also exploring some really cool possibilities of creating resources in multiple languages worldwide. So if you are in long-term recovery, speak a language other than English as a native tongue, and have a network in that language and are interested in hosting a RECO12 meeting similar to this in your own language, please contact me at RECO12pod@gmail.com. That's RECO12pod@gmail.com. And we'll get talking about that and getting those resources up. RECO12 is self-supporting, and your contributions help us continue our mission. Thank you all who have donated recently and in the past. A special thanks this week goes out to Catherine and to David for your kind and generous support. If you would like also to support RECO12 and become a spearhead, visit RECO12.com/support for one-time or monthly donation options. Your support makes a difference in sharing our message of recovery. We look forward each meeting to receiving from the light reflected from our speakers. That light inspires hope, meaning, worth, and growth in us, the listening audience. Now I'll introduce our guest speaker for today, Purdy. Here's a little bit about Purdy. Purdy is a recovered addict. The obsession to drink and use has been lifted through a 12-step program of action. Action heals the soul. His peace with God fires up his soul, and he is all in. Purdy is an active sponsor at all times. He does service and the founder of Spiritual Cartel, a meeting in the UK which runs 365 days a year. Purdy is very grateful and humbled by it all. He has a peace today like nothing else he has ever experienced and can feel serenity from the inside. No longer driving the external, it's an inside job, and today Purdy has a mind that sits free. He says, trust God, clean house, and help others. Take it away, Purdy. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Justin, and what an absolute pleasure it is to be here and speaking with you guys. My name is Purdy. I'm a recovered addict, a mind that sits free. I always say I'm a recovered addict, but a recovering human being. I think, coming into this fellowship, this program, a mind that sits free. I suppose it's something I always wanted. I always wanted the torment of the past and everything that had happened to actually sit free. It wasn't the first reason I came into a program. It was to get rid of a terrifying drink and drug habit. Little did I know that the drink and drugs wasn't the problem. The problem was me. All me. Ultimately me. So I won't talk too much. I want to talk more solution, but it's really important that for you to understand where a mind gets so boggled, so full. It's because of obviously the avatar that is created by self. For me, it was trauma. For me, it was that early stage of life where I was, adopted and not wanted, family and split ups. And I was made very aware that I wasn't wanted to be part of a family. So, a lot of mental abuse, a lot of physical abuse as me as a child. So I guess you could call me a love junkie. That's how I started off. I was a love junkie, I wanted love. And I didn't get it from the family home. It was never there. So I seeked in other areas. And I found it. I found it in sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I found it in friendship. I found it in, all these places that, I suddenly felt part of something, and for me, it was, I loved them and I loved the time. I make no bones about it. I loved that time, experimenting, everything under the sun, from starting glue and gas and weed and speed and ecstasy and raves and acid and, dancing around in the woods like the woodland fairies and creating, think I could, it was just love to be out of self was ultimately it, because it was not a reminder of my past. I didn't have to live in that place that I lived before. So the avatar starts to get created because the obsession becomes more and more. I want this feeling all the time, and I'll do anything to get it. I like the attention I'm getting. I become a bit of an agent of chaos. Again, this avatar, I start to perform, and have a circle of friendship that I believe, was close and that loved me. Ultimately, I was, like I say, just very much a character, very lonely. Even though I was surrounded by a lot of people, I was very lonely. It took a darker twist for me because I needed to fund this habit. So crime becomes a part. I get into crime. It puts a darker twist on what was once a beautiful arena. I start to smoke crack. I start to inject heroin. Not that one's worse than the other, but I need that. I need that next fix. I need that next high. I end up getting into crime. I end up going to prison. And then I feel that abandonment, that alone time again. I know it's time for me to start formulating a new plot, a new plan in my mind. I'm a love junkie. So I decided I'm going to get married and I'm going to have 2 children and everything's going to be perfect. I've worked it all out. So laser focused am I as an addict. I come out of prison and I do exactly that. I'm still using, I'm still drinking, I'm still taking drugs. It still consumes my life. And I leave people strangers to my mind and to my ways because I'm just trying to focus on me, just trying to get me better, just trying to seek, find, fill that hole in my soul all the time. Where's it going to come from? Where's home? Because I never felt like I had a home. Never felt like I had a home. I'm geographically moving from pillar to post, trying to find something that's going to fix me. And guess what? I can never find it. I have 2 beautiful children. That didn't fix it. Got married, got a house, got a job, started working. I become a stand-up addict. That's not working. I drove that woman to complete and utter insanity, so much that she decided to take her life. I was scared at the time. I was so scared. But I didn't know what else to do other than continue my using, other than hand my kids over to the care of her mum and dad and go off on a trail of destruction. And I met someone else, met a stripper. And the stripper, I decided that I was going to save her life. I was going to cure her. I was going to look after her and all these things. But I ended up ruining another 10-year marriage. And at the end of that, I'm now 40 years old, 42 years old. She takes everything I have and I'm on my own. And I'm alone again. See, the mind then is, talk about a mind that sits free. It's so depressed, anxious, fearful, scared, lonely, just wanted to tear the noises out my head. My head was so full and I couldn't say anything. I was debilitated by it. Someone would say something to me and it would literally destroy me for days. I wouldn't be able to move. And in the end, I cut myself off completely and I didn't want to be here no more. The pain was too much. And I decided to take myself out of this world. Woke up in hospital. I was found. Magical thing happened, a spiritual experience, which I won't talk about today. Spiritual experience happened. I didn't know what spiritual experience was. I didn't know what spiritual awakening was. It wasn't very spiritual. I prayed to a God that I didn't believe in when the chips were down. I had no real understanding, no real faith, no real belief. Something magical happened. What did I do with it? Did what I always did. I used. And this time I sunk myself into a seriously low depression. That took me out there for another couple of years. And then, solution. I am sitting here smoking dog butts and crawling around my floor till the early hours of the morning and crying into my lines of cocaine. I make another decision to get better. It's happened many, many times before, but for some reason, something happened. And I picked up the phone to CA in the UK and I came on a meeting. And there's people sitting on the screen. Get a big book. Get a sponsor. Put your number in the chat. Thinking, oh, what's this all about? Suddenly I'm in and I'm having this conversation. I'm hearing someone else speak and I'm going, okay. And at the end of it, it brought me to tears. I was quite emotional. Help me. Please, someone help me. Please, God, help me. Please, someone help me. And a guy picked up the phone and he rang me. Purdy, what are you doing in the morning? First thing he said actually was, Purdy, you're not a bad person. You're just sick like me. And I always remember those words, you know. What are you doing in the morning? He said. I said, nothing. He said, right, speak to you at 9 o'clock. He throws a big book of sponsorship in front of me, 40 pages. We start to look at step one, admitted we were powerless and life had become unmanageable. You know, for me, right at that time, it was sort of like laid in front of me in pages. You know, I learned that I'm sick. I can't differentiate the truth from the false. You know, I look at a log and loser list, and so imprinted of that is that in my mind, that log and loser list, you know, the things that had failed to keep me abstinent. You know, and you look at that in two parts, the powerlessness and the unmanageability, you know, the failed strategies in the log and loser list, you know. And it was like, when you start to pen and paper it down, because that's what it is, you start to write and you start to look, and there's all the things that are listed off. It was just like, wow, you know, okay. And it starts to get ingrained. And then we look at the things that I'd lost, the time and money and friends and family and all those other things, all those things that were clogging up my mind. I had to fully concede, you know, fully concede that I was without defense against the first drink, you know, and all that step one process that brought that alive for me. You know, it really did bring it alive. I had to learn that half measures availed me nothing. You know, if I wanted to do this, I had to be thorough. I had to do it. I had to want what the guy that was talking to me had. He seemed free. He was smiling. He was talking about God. He's like, yeah, let God, man, let God. Like, is he all right? But he seemed free. I had to smash the idea, like I say. I had to abandon myself to this simple program, you know, and pick up the toolkit that was laid at my feet. That was step one. And it was just like, wow, okay. And, you know, something, I enjoyed the process. You know, before I got into the book, before I looked at the doctor's opinion, Bill's story, and, you know, just this initial process of a map. That's how I saw it. You know, a map that I've suddenly got away. There's a process that I can follow to get somewhere. Step two, come to believe in a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. What's that all about? And I start to think about it. And I start to think about my responsibility, my self-will, you know, how I think I can control the show, how I'm the all-power, I'm the all-seeing, all-eye, all-powerful Purdy. Yet there's a girl that I'm seeing, an off-license, and a couple of drug dealers that come around my house. Yet everybody's thinking about me. I'm thinking about everybody else, and it's all about me. Seems a bit much, eh? It's not when you're living in it, you know. And then I think about the universe, and I think about, because I want to be just is. A mind that sits free for me is just, it just is. How nice would it be to live a life where it just is? So I think about the metaphysical magnificence of the universe. I think, look outside my window, and I see the wind and the rain and the trees, and I see the way that the breeze blows through the trees and the grass, and look at the way the sunlight comes through the branches. I look over to my left because I live near the sea, and I see this raging sea which comes in and out and hits the stones, sometimes rough, sometimes still. I look into the distance and I see a lake and I see trees, and in the distance I see hills. If I was to go into a different country, I'd see deserts, I'd see rainforests, seasons that come in and out. I look up into the sky and there's this beautiful blue massive sky with clouds. The sun that burns bright and is beating down on us. And then it turns to night. And the night comes and the stars come out and the moons and the galaxies and the earth spinning at 1,000 miles an hour on an axis, but because of gravitational pulls, we're not falling off. I'm breathing in nitrogen and oxygen, all these things that are stopping me from exploding. Guess what, Purdy? There might be something more powerful than you out there. You're like, are you sure? So I come to believe, you know, I'm willing to believe, because why not? When you think about it, why not? Then you make a decision. Step three, turn my will and my life over to God. Fire my arse and hire God, excuse my language. Because I can't do this no more. I don't want to do this no more. Tired. So tired. You know, I make these decisions, and, you know, it says if we sincerely took such a position, all remarkable things happen. You know, that time when you let go, when you give up, when you stop trying to run the show, stop trying to control it, you know, and just understand that you can let this go and give it to God. And that was an incredible, that step 1, 2, 3 process. I really started to get into it. I really started to feel a lot of things. A lot of things were happening, especially in the step 2 process. But then in step 3, it was that surrender. It was like, okay. Step 4 comes around. I'm doing everything that's asked. I'm calling people. I'm building fellowship. I'm reading the big book. I'm on meetings. I'm doing everything that's asked of me. Grateful lists. I come a bit of a stumbling block on 4, I suppose, because I started to actually, pen to paper, have to get everything down that's in my past. How do I do that? How do I, all the things that have happened to me in the last 43 years, how do I start that process? Because here's the pen to paper step. The most difficult part about that step can be putting pen to paper, because it's already happened. It's already our past. And your past is not your future unless you live in it. So I've got to get this stuff down, I've got to do a fearless moral inventory of oneself. And I'm thinking in my head all the time, I'm thinking, how do I speak to my wife's mum and dad? Tell them how sorry I am. It's all that's playing around in my head. Step 3, I've let it go to God. But I'm just human, right? Still learning, still growing as a human being. I'm still going through this process. So I launched into vigorous action. Vigorous action. I love that. Pen to paper. Resentments, fears, harms. And we start to do this process. There was a point at 4 where it wasn't quite connected. I remember ringing my sponsor the next day and saying, look, mate, I don't know about this. This is all a bit much. He said, Purdy, what did you pray about this morning? I said, I didn't pray. He said, that's okay, brother. What did you meditate about this morning? I said, I didn't meditate. He said, do you love meditation? I said, yeah, I've got a lot of stuff going on. He said, that's all right, Purdy. Where's your grateful list today? Because I love your grateful list. It doesn't just say dog, cat, air, water, tree, stream. It's not a tick box exercise with you. It's an essay. Because you like to feel, you like to think, you like to draw the gratitude. You like to call on all the gratitude, find it from every angle and put it down on paper. Do you know what it gives me, brother? It gives me so much hope. Where's your grateful list today? I haven't done one. See, my sponsor's not God. Guide me. But I'm definitely not in a codependent relationship with another human being, because I know that it will fail me. I have to take this stuff to God. But early days, he pointed me in the right direction. Phone down. Step 2, I'm back into the steps. Come to believe in a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. I go out and I swim in the ocean. I get in the sea, and a magical thing happens. I walk back over and something happens. A woman walks around the corner. I've never met her before. Have you been in for a swim? I said, yeah. She said, I see you and your kids playing around it, because today, thank God, all my beautiful children are back in my life, and I'm daddy today. She said, I see you playing with your kids. Tell you what, darling, I've got one of the beach huts on the beach there. I'm a bit old now. She said, anytime you want to go over and use it, you use it. I said, what a beautiful thing to say. I came up to my flat and I remember sitting there going, just happened. What just happened? And I was really in from that point. That step 3, 4 crossover, that getting back involved in the steps, understanding that the steps is a way of life, giving myself over to coming to believe in a power greater than myself, giving myself over to the universe. And then this thing happens. I'm like, okay. Admit in step 5 to God and to another human being, my wrongs. So all of a sudden I'm offloading this stuff. We're talking about a mind that sits free. That mind is polluted. So all of a sudden it starts to lift. Starts to alleviate. In step 6, I'm entirely ready to have God remove all my character defects. I'm starting to build this spiritual home, guys. I'm starting to look at my flaws, look at the things that have, the way that I act because of the self that was created. Sometimes through protection, trauma, whatever it is. I need to break that stuff down, the broken pieces of the puzzle, if I'm going to be free. Step 7, humbly ask God to remove my shortcomings. Humbly. Right step for my sponsees now. We formulate a step 7 prayer together. We put it on a scripture with everything. Like it's it really becomes a really beautiful process. God's will, not my will. What are my character defects? And it's all very well writing them down, and it's all very. But then I've got to pray on this stuff. I've got to like inventories we'll get to in a minute, and as you get to the later steps, I have to do this work. It can't be an exercise. It's got to be within. Steps 8 and 9, those harms. It says in the promises that you'll be amazed before you're halfway through. Wow. This gets me emotional, Remember writing a letter to her mum and dad and getting that getting that communication back, saying it's all right. We forgive you. You were young. She had problems too. Do you know what? It's so freeing. That and many other amends that I made just to the hates inside me, you know. And it's getting rid of that just by getting it down, getting it out there, and I felt it all of a sudden. Wow, it was like a quiet peace, mind that sits free. It's I can talk forever now, but don't have much going on up here. That is complete life changer for me. I can't tell you what a life changer that is for me because I live my life here. I live my life in my head, so tormented. You know, it's just like I say, didn't want to be here. I tried dying, but I couldn't. Didn't want to live, didn't want to die. I'm in this no man's land. Who am I? Who am I? It starts to become clear when I start to clean house. Trust God. Clean house. Now it's about helping others, including myself, intent. You know, check yourself before you wreck yourself. You know, it's just that, and it becomes for me. It's a very important process, and I'll teach my sponsees the same way that I learn is that doesn't writing inventory to the sponsor doesn't really work for me. Can't because I haven't done it. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. He wants it by 10. He does. Why does he want it by 10? He doesn't want it by. It's my inventory. It's me. It's me. It's me seeking the answers within. How have I been? What have I been like today? What have I been like today? Let's have a look. Let's have a view. On the spot, when things happen, I can deal with them. You know, I can pray on it. I can get rid of it, pray on it, write it down, deal with it. Later on, when I start to get into, you know, step 11 and I start to look at my day and review my day, I go deep. I go deep. I have to. Because I want to be a better human being, you know. I can't, there's no shortcut in this stuff. It's thoroughness. Action heals the soul. And I want to be a better human being. I want to live free. That's how I want to live today. So I dig deep with this stuff. I look at everything and I write it down and I meditate on it. And I get quiet and have that two-way conversation. So beautiful that, you know, we learn through this stuff, you know, the prayer and meditation and actually having that opportunity to see with your eyes closed. A good way to describe it. You know, I can close my eyes and I can see. When I'm quiet, I can actually hear. It's funny that. And all these things sound so mad, but being here now in a place of love, not fear. I never thought I'd be able to live like this. I was in such trouble, man. I never thought I could live like this, but now, you know, I do. I get a cup of tea. I make a cup of tea in the morning. I have my routine. You know, very much so. Wake up, prayer, meditation. Come in and I'll make myself a nice hot water lemon and I'll put it in my hand and I feel the heat from the cup go through into my hand and I can feel it going down there. And I feel a calm, like a rebirth after meditation. And I have the opportunity to sit down and do my grateful list. It puts me in such a beautiful place. It's like a rebirth to start the day, to do the things that I need to do the things that I've got to do, you know, and have that conversation with you. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And to live in that, you know, with the steps 1, 2, and 3, which is the connection side of the steps, to then go into the correction side, 4 to 10, 4 to 9, and then 10 to 12, just to be able to live in that direction side of it. And then come into step 12, you know. I mean, you know, having had a spiritual awakening, you know, as a result of the steps, and carry the message to other addicts. I mean, just incredible. Practice these principles in all of our affairs, guys. And what a beautiful generosity of spirit. What a generosity of spirit. What a beautiful way to. That's my legacy. I'm not a junkie. Love junkie. Addict. Liar. Abuser. Manipulator. Thief. Depression, anxiety. It's not there. It's not there. Can't explain how it works. Okay, and I just did. But I still in my head, I go, how's this? I tried everything. My kids couldn't stop me. My wife couldn't stop me. my jobs, my career, nothing could stop me. Yet this one guy sat down to me and said to me, "You ain't a bad person. You're just sick like me. Let me take you on a journey." Whew. Changed my life. Completely and utterly changed my life. I get to give back. I get to help others. I get to sit knee with knee with someone who comes in and reminds me, straight away that pain when you're in it, when you're right in it, right brand new in it, everything. The world is your problems. It's as big as the whole world. Everything's a problem. And you see that when you sit with someone who comes brand new into the meeting, and it's so beautiful to be able to have a conversation, to be able to sit, to be able to guide them, to be able to do service on meetings. It definitely gave me the get up and go to create fellowship that I crave. I've done that with Spiritual Cartel. I feel very, very grateful today, guys. Very blessed, very lucky, very just in awe of this beautiful program. I am forever grateful to CA, forever grateful to fellowship, forever grateful to God. You know what, guys? I'll finish now, and I always like to. I write a lot now, so I journal. I have space in my mind that I can sit down and I can write stuff down. And I like to write poems. So I've done a little 12-step poem that I'd like to share with you just to finish off. But guys, for me, just before I do, if you're brand new into this and it feels like there's absolutely no way out. There is no way. Hopeless addict. I want to get better, but I can't. I'm on a misery go round. And no matter what I do, I will just keep going and keep going and keep going. I hear you. I hear you. You can recover from a hopeless state of body and mind. You can recover. Just surrender to this program. Give yourself to it. Play full out. Like your life depends on it, because in most instances it does. I know it definitely did with mine. So, have a little sip of water. It's a couple of minutes, Justin. So, the poem, it's not a long one, all right? Okay, so never before can I understand what was going on inside me, the mess, carnage, chaos, rage, when all I wanted was to be tidy, ripped apart in the struggle with no one to guide me. Was this it? Am I dead as my soul of my body? Step one, I'm powerless. Why is it taking all this to remind me? Did I forget all the pain and the suffering and that I'm not free? My kingdoms were built and they were burned down around me. Please not again. This ain't normal. This is sick me. The sick me is me. Same roots, just the wrong tree. New branches and leaves must be grown to revive me. But I'm scared. Is there a God? So I get down on one knee. Of course I'm here. Step two, let me guide thee. Relieve me from self. Please, God, help me to walk with love in my heart and peace. This is step three. I'm not sure how many times in this rhyme that I've said me, but with God and the fellowship, switch that me to we. Because we stand together on the shoulder of giants. Never before have I felt such love and defiance, unity, connection, and strength with one breath. Now I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I'm in, God is with me, and you soldiers of war of life struggles, and I'm into step four. Resentments and regrets from a life lived before. Dig deep, my friend, because I know it feels sore. These cuts and these memories, I know that they're raw, and I know it feels strange. We ain't been here before. But God is now with you. You're in the right place. Just work hard, be true, release, and feel grace. Grace from God as we admit all our wrongdoings, ready to let go and remove our shortcomings, taken right from us to hold up in heaven. Our weight starts to shift through 5, 6, and 7. I'm open, I'm honest, I'm alive, and I'm grateful. 8, 9 comes along and it's tough, it feels fateful, because I've damaged myself and so many in my path. My amends to all these people from all the misery and wrath. But be bold, be brave. Just put pen to paper. Let it all out. Be free from the hater. You'll quickly find out, and this much is true, they'll forgive and they'll forget. The hate's inside you. Be open, be honest, and explain all those years. Say you were sorry and caught up in addiction and fears. What could I have done different? What could I have said? Lay it all out, man. Put it to bed. Keep an inventory daily and keep a check on yourself. When you're wrong, just admit it. Take care of your health. Step 10 lets us live there. Step 10 keeps things right. For you to succeed, you've got to fight and take flight. But never forget to drop down on one knee. Meditate through 11. Stay present, stay free. Your connection with God is a power within. Free from all self-loathing, sickness, and sin. Keep yourself in the triangle. There's no going back. Unity, service, and recovery will keep you on track. Now you're into step 12 and you're alive, you're awake. Your life is so bright and it's no longer fake. So get out there and help people. Give back men some souls. This is your path now. These are your goals. A new beginning, a fresh start where your heart now thrives. Get out there and help people. Go save people's lives. I'll finish it here now with me. Turn to we. A breakdown of self and a mind that sits free. Thank God, thank my sponsor, and thank all that I meet. I'm happy inside now. I'm back on my feet. Thanks ever so much for letting me share. Trust God, clean house, help others. Thanks, Justin.
Wow. Purdy, thank you so much. I loved that poem. I definitely, if you've got that written and not just here, I would love that and be able to share that with anybody who asks for it because, and I'd love to put it right here on my wall because that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And your story is just powerful. A reminder to our live audience, if you have questions for Purdy about anything he's talked about here or about any recovery-based questions, please put them in the Q&A link at the bottom of your window. We'll get to those as we go along. I've written down a handful of questions here, and we'll start off with one that I'd really like to jump into. You know, you talked about and very um painfully in for me, you talked about the death of your first spouse, the suicide there. As you look back at that today, how are you able to reconcile that and be able to say, okay, God, this works into my plan in a maybe a positive way, maybe not, but in a way that has helped build you. What's your take on that?
Think for me it was a big one that I had to come over and work through because it come in two stages. It's the regret of the past. She was an alcoholic. She had issues most definitely as well. I left her a prison. I just used to go missing, Justin. I'd go out seeking love and attention from wherever it was, and it not necessarily women, just wherever it was, whatever I was searching for. So when that happened, it hurt at the time and it didn't formulate the pain and the thing just come out in me acting out. When I came into recovery and I started to do this process, yes, I felt complete and utter. There was a lot of guilt there. And also when you then suddenly get better and you recover, thinking I could have helped her. Now, as I sit here, I could have given her because she was an alcoholic, I could have. So there's lots of things playing around. I think the way that I can deal with it now, the way that with God is I can help other people. It's the only way I can, my dark past can be a lighthouse for someone else that comes in for someone else. So that doesn't have to happen to anyone else. I've made an amends to her family. I'm there for my children. I pray for her every night and one day we'll meet again. But right here, right now, it's others, working with others, other people. How can I help other people to ensure that something like this doesn't happen to them? Because ultimately it can happen. Anything can happen when we're in deep, deep addiction, So if I can be a hope dealer and I can save one more person or help one more person to not get to that stage, that's how I can give that part of what happened back. Is that all right?
Yeah, and I love what you just called yourself, a hope dealer. A hope dealer. Now, in our world, the word dealer means something completely different. But man, to be able to deal out hope, what a beautiful, beautiful concept. Thank you for sharing that. All right, got a question in from our live audience. This is from Bobby, and I'm gonna read through this and get to the question here. First off, I may say how grateful I am to be on this call. You addressed addiction. God, for me, what is most important was honesty about suicide, and that was really important for Bobby to hear that. So Bobby's been active in recovery since 1989 as a survivor, and that meant a lot. He's never really shared, but he's now out publicly. Can you address how best to tactfully share in these 12-step rooms about, whether it be suicide, whether it be addiction? How do you go about tactfully sharing without, dwelling on the mess and bringing the message?
Yeah, so I think it's honesty. I think but there is a line, and I made mistakes when I came into the rooms. I was maybe too graphic about the situation that happened because I actually, don't mind saying on here, I was actually present to see that what she'd done, and I'll leave it at that. So, and I used to explain that in detail. I don't now. I explain the situation, and I think honesty is vital, especially in these rooms, because what I found is when you hear an honest share or an open share and someone can bring out the true emotion and talk about generally what's scripted or what needs to be in this book, or I'm doing this and this. When you can actually live through it and you can explain situations that happen in your life, what it does is it lends itself to a really honest arena. And you'll find that the share backs become extremely honest and extremely open and extremely full of emotion. And I don't know about you, but for me, I get so much out of that. I get so much out of hearing people talk honestly, and it helps. I mean, I have to say, we come off the back of a meeting like that, which was very much like that. Someone came on and shared on Cartel, Justin, and was so open and so honest about some horrific things that happened in her past. The recording is available, it's there to listen to, and it's like, but what it did is it just drew all this real emotion from the room, and people were just sharing back honestly and openly, and it made for a really beautiful meeting. So be honest. And, we can talk about we don't have to go into you don't have to go into graphic detail, but you can definitely talk about the moment, the feeling, and draw honesty back from the room.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Purdy. And you talked about Spiritual Cartel. Tell us a little bit about what Spiritual Cartel is, how people can connect with you with that fellowship, that meeting, and a little bit what you do there.
Yeah, no problem at all. So it was a meeting that creative fellowship. I mean, for me, I love listening to speakers. I looked at my recovery journey, and I think, there's the steps, living in the principles, working through the big book. I mixed other things into it. I'm a lover of music, a bit like yourself, Justin. So I love my music. So I thought, okay, well, this is a bit of a fine line. How do we bring music into recovery? But ultimately, I wanted to create something that was a different format every single night. It run 365 days a year. So there's always a meeting at exactly that time for anyone. Christmas Day, New Year's Day, whenever it's available, that meeting. I think that was the first thing. It was like the strip, trust God, clean house, help others. That's the format of the meeting. We then go through into a 7-day format. On a Monday, we do a live meditation. Someone comes in at the moment. We've had the beautiful Kimia joining us, and Kimia has been taking us through a guided live meditation through the big book. And it's really a chance for people to, on a Monday, they can come, they can do some meditation, and then we come back in and we share on gratitude. On the Tuesday, we go into the steps. So each week we do a different step. We'll have speakers come in to speak on the steps. On a Wednesday, we have someone come in and share their experience, strength, and hope using, going through the book. Their favorite passage from the book, what the book means to them. And then they come out and they talk about their experience, strength, and hope through that. We then on a Thursday look at the principles. Yeah. So, we work from the principles. So as the steps, we work from principles right the way through. And someone comes in and they share their experience. Last night was love and forgiveness, 8 and 9, and wow, it was a beautiful share. On Friday, we do we call it Fire in the Booth. It's a speaker meeting where the speaker comes in, experience, strength, and hope for 40 minutes, and we get to know about that person. They get to really dig deep into their life and how recovery's helped them. Tonight, after this meeting, Kimia is actually live on that meeting tonight, so I'm looking forward to that a bit later. On Saturday, we do the Wheel of Recovery with Motown music. So it's an opportunity to get a bit of Motown out there. Effectively, we have a wheel which spins 50 topics, recovery topics. What will the wheel choose for you? So, and the wheel works in mysterious ways. Let me spin some amazing topics come up at the time when you think, wow, what? So the wheel spins, lands on a topic, bit of music plays, and then you come back and you share on open forum. You come back and share on that topic. If you don't feel like you want to share on the topic, it's open to it. Come in and share about your day. Come in and share about how you are. And then on a Sunday, we go deep into the book. Big book study. Donna J's doing that at the moment. We get in word for word, line for line. We get into the big book. So, yeah, it was as a platform that created, to have 365 days a year recovery, and it's just gone from strength to strength. The meeting, the percentages of average, we're averaging 90. I think it was 93 in January, 93 a night. So a nice big meeting, and the group's building. Do you know what the big thing for me is? It's the amount of new people. It's the amount of sponsorship we are doing off the back of it. That's what it was all about. And, for me, the amount of newcomers that are working with sponsors off the back of the meeting, incredible.
That's awesome. And what time does it meet each day again?
It's 8 o'clock. So
UK time?
Yeah, UK time. So that's
Mm-hmm.
3 p.m. EST,
Mm-hmm.
12 p.m. PST, and 8 p.m. Yeah, UK.
All
I can
right.
get, I can get you some details.
Yeah, so what I'd like to get from you after this meeting, send me an email right away afterwards so I can get it in the show notes and everything of the link to the meetings
Yeah,
where we can get that out there. And also that poem, if you've got that you can share with me electronically. Because I've got already 4 or 5 people that have said, I want that poem.
no
So,
problems.
and
Yeah,
if you want that poem, I'll send an email to RECO12pod@gmail.com, RECO12pod@gmail.com. I'll put that email address in the link and in the show notes of the podcast. All right, let's get on to the next question. This question is from Raina. Raina also says, I would love that poem. Purdy, thank you so much for your testimony. And then Raina says, I was hopeless, lonely, and felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to. But I thank God for this program. I just got through step 12, and now I am ready to sponsor. Awesome, Raina. We're happy for you there. My question is, how do you start sponsoring being new and praying you don't mess up?
um, again, yeah, I didn't. For me, it's just the process. I know what you mean. First of all, I know exactly what you mean. Oh my God, I'm looking at this. Look at yourself. Look at your journey. You sort of said it all in your question. We're hopeless. We're lonely. We feel like there's absolutely no way that anything could have ever got any better. And all of a sudden, we're in this program and we're working it, and then we recover. We're actually in a position where we can go, well, that's your story. It doesn't have to be this perfect sponsorship. You'll see it a lot. You'll learn so much as you go through this process. I'm learning forever teachable in this program, and that's the beautiful thing about it. And the growth will come in years. You'll see different speakers. I think it's when we put pressure under ourselves and to go, I've seen this person. Oh my God, the way they speak on a meeting, I need to be a sponsor like that. No, you need to be you. You need to be you. Your journey through this is your journey. And your journey, the one that's made you better. That's the message you're going to portray. So if you need any support with that, the book. But you've done the process. However you did it, whether you did it big book sponsorship, whether you did it through the full big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, or whatever way you did it, you've learned that. So if you're a bit if you're a bit stuck in it, definitely ask your sponsor. But there'd be loads of other people you could reach out to and that would put you on the right path. But ultimately, you have all the answers because you were once lost, and now you're found. And that's the only message you've got to portray.
Love that. Love that. Thank you for sharing the night. I remember someone who said it much more harshly than I'm going to say this, but man, you aren't going to mess these people up any worse than they're already messed up.
I know
Get
that.
in there and do it. Yep. So that's get in there and work. Get in there and share your experience, strength, and hope, and sponsor. When all else failed, work with another alcoholic saved the day. And I can testify to that, man. When all else failed, that works for me. All right. Another question I have for you, Purdy. You talked about the day that you were out on the beach with your kids, and the lady said, "Hey, go ahead and use our vacation home." And you said, "Thank God I have my kids back in my life." Talk to us a little bit about that and the miracle that is. Maybe a little bit of what happened and how it was remedied, and the miracle it is in your life today to have your kids in your life.
Yeah. So two marriages, 2 kids in each marriage. So obviously my oldest boy is 21. To 15, and then I've got a 9 and an 8-year-old. So the first 2 boys, obviously, they went off. I was, present in the family home up until probably my eldest was about 5 or 6. The Jude had just come along. My newborn had just come along. He was a baby at the time when all this stuff happened, and we lost their mum. So they went off. They went off with her mum and dad, and then obviously it didn't repair. I spoke to them as much as I could, but I was very vacant in my life. I wasn't me for X amount of years, even this person, even this husband that I was the second time, I was more present in the second marriage because but I was still never there. And so much so that I never had time for my children, in a minute. I'm always busy, in a minute. Yeah, no, 1 second. I was there. I might come home late at night and look in their bedroom and go, "They're all tucked up. I've done this." And it's just, I wasn't present. And I think now, obviously my kids came back into my life when I started getting better, when I started getting well. I built those bridges with my eldest two. They come and stay here a lot. One of them actually comes to live with me for a few months. Then he went and got a job. He was going to go over to America to play football. We reconnected. But because I was present, because I was genuinely interested, because I can hear today, and I can see, I can smell, and I can taste, and I can touch, and I can do all these things that I thought I could do before, but I really couldn't. So I'm present. Like my young ones, when I sit there and I play Lego, I'll get cross-legged on my knees, and I'll get cross-legged on my feet, and I'll get down and play. I want to play. I want to see what they're doing. I want to check they're okay. I want to ask how they are, and that's and obviously you build the bridges. Me and my partner. Before I terrorized. I mean, we split up, and I think a year later, I was still in active addiction, and she had a new fella, and I terrorized them poor people. I remember walking into a restaurant, and then I saw them having a meal. I just brought the whole restaurant down. It's just crazy to go around there and make an amends, for him to answer the door and look scared, but for me to hold my hand out and squeeze his hand and pull him into me and give him a cuddle. So I'm so sorry for what I was. I really, really apologize. If there's any way I can make it up to you guys, I am. And thank you so much for being here for my children. Thank you so much for taking care of my part of my, I won't going to say her name, but of her. So and then all of a sudden you build that bridge, and it's like, so the kids come here now loads. I mean, they're ringing me up now going, or she probably is, she wants some time off. It's great, I don't care. It's like, yeah, get them over. I know they came with you last weekend, but you might have them this weekend as well. I'm like, send them over. Let's have it. I'm present, and it's beautiful.
Beautiful. And miracles. Thank you for sharing that. And I think my next question kind of comes into that. You talked about the restaurant experience where you went in and just made a mess in the restaurant when you saw, your partner there with somebody else. How now, as you look at your life, you talked about how somebody would say something or do something, and it would just send you into a spiral of insanity. How now, when those types of comments are made or situations arise that still may make you go, oh, how do you then now deal with it so it doesn't send you into a spiral?
It really is this mind that sits free part. It's very strange. It's not an out of body experience. I don't know. I say it's like the Matrix. Like the Matrix when those bullets come and he sort of moves and they're going really slow. I think because I have the space in my mind now, because I can get quiet, because I'm not, my head's not a washing machine. I can lay my head down at night and I can sleep. Or I can be in the moment because I ground myself very early in the morning, and I get close to God, and I get quiet. That all of a sudden I haven't got all these thoughts of feelings. So actually, when things happen, because they will and they do, I see it. It's the best way I can describe it. It's like I can see it coming, and actually I'm almost sort of dealing with it. It's like it's in slow motion, and I can deal with it, and I know exactly what I'm going to do with that situation before I act out. I pause when agitated. I think about. I actually sit there and I have that moment where I go, "This is the way that you're going to act." I must look like a madman, But I don't care, because I will literally stop no matter where I am. I will stop myself. Could be talking to someone, could be having a confrontation, could be having a nightmare, and I'll stop. And go, "No, look at me when I'm talking to you." And you go, just need to find myself, need to understand what I'm going to do in this situation, and work within the principles. And it just feels very natural. It feels like recall from the hot flame. They say in the book, we recall from a hot flame. That's with that as well. Just with the way reactions to things. I'll see it and I'll move and I'll be able to deal with it. If it gets too much, we have to do some work around prayer and meditation. Of course we do. But in the moment, very much see it as it's coming. It's very strange. Very grateful.
Thank you for sharing that. And before I get to a next question here, I just want to throw out to the live audience here and to the people who may be listening in podcast world eventually. Each of these recordings, we've now done 200, and this is the 216th, are available in recorded format on. You can go to RECO12.com and look up the different podcasts there, or you can listen to it on any podcast platform in the world, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just look for RECO12 and you'll find it. This one will be live within a couple of hours after we're done. I'll have it edited and put up. So you've got that. And if you want a copy of the poem or to get in contact with Purdy or Spiritual Cartel, send an email to RECO12pod@gmail.com. I'll also have links and information in the show notes when we get there. All right, I've got another 2 questions for you, unless somebody else sends in a question in the Q&A link. First one is, you talked about your gratitude list, your grateful list, how that's a very important part of your day. Oftentimes I find myself when I try and do a gratitude list, it's basically a check mark. Like you said, I'm thankful for the dog, I'm thankful for the sky, I'm thankful for this. But you said that yours are more of this beautiful written thing. Give us an example of how you keep from it becoming a checklist as you do it every day, and keep it in just a nice, meaningful, and real setting.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's a feeling for me. This, God is a feeling. It's all a feeling. How I feel, how it's made me feel, and I think I just, for me, that's exactly how I write. I write exactly how I feel. I'll come in and I'll think about it, and I'll think about, I'll put the universe. So I'm grateful for the universe. Yes, I am. Actually, why am I grateful for it? Let me look outside. Let me go out and get outside. And sometimes during gratefulness, I will go and hug a tree. I will go and roll around on the grass. I will go and put my foot in the water so I can give it some meaning of what I'm writing, as opposed to just writing something down. So every day is different, and that's what I love about grateful lists, and that's what I love about the way I write my grateful list, is that I can go myself to so many different tangents. It's great. Ultimately, I just write down how I'm feeling. I want to feel about that cup of coffee. I want to put that cup of coffee, as I said earlier, in my hand, and the warmth goes through. But then what I want to do is I want to put my hands around it. And I love the way that it sounds like a bit of an echo when I put my voice into it. And I can drink it. And it might sound like I'm an absolute lunatic, but I'm being here now in a place of love, not fear. And I'll write about, I can taste the coffee on my lips, and I can feel the heat as it goes down my throat. And then it all of a sudden explodes into my chest. I just live the moments, and I get really grateful around every single part of it. And I'll sit there, and sometimes it can be an essay, but get so much out of it. It really do. As opposed to what the old me would do, is like we say, it's a tick box. Bit like doing inventory and steps. Oh, it's got to be in by 10. I'll get that done. There you go. You want to be that? Right, that. Yeah, I was a bit of an idiot today. Right, okay. Or whatever it is, close the book. Right, that's done. It's not done. That's not what it is. Is it? It's like, it's not a checklist. It's not get that done and then it's done. I can move on to something else. How's it making me feel? How's it making me feel? It's a feeling.
Yeah, I love that. It brings me to the phrase about step 10. This should continue for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I love that concept. And it's something that used to bring me dread. You mean I have to do this the rest of my life? And now it's like, man, I get to do this, and I get to learn and expand and grow as I go through my entire lifetime, rather than just sit on my laurels and waste away. All right. So before we close up here, Purdy, do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us here?
Know what? I didn't know, but just be honest. Be honest. Just, surrender. Surrender. If you're brand new onto this, or you're brand new into this, just surrender. I know it can all sound a bit mad. I remember coming in, and there's this big book put in front of me, and it's Bill and Bob, and they're talking about the Wall Street and putting whiskey into milk, and it's such a beautiful, 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 beautiful piece of work. It just comes alive. But don't put yourself under too much pressure right here, right now. Well, to be a certain way. Just surrender yourself. Just understand that this does work. Get yourself a sponsor and get through the work. I said it. I can sort of not know how it works, but it does. But play full out. Play full out. I have to say that's one thing that I've done since I've come into fellowship. Since these things started to happen to me and it started changing my life, I play full out every single day. Of that, there is no, that is guaranteed. I play full out. I'll pick up the phone to people. I will work tirelessly. I work with others. I do the things that I need to do for myself to keep me saying, you have to work at this. But if you can thoroughly throw yourself into this program and be truthful every single day, it will change your life.
Love it. Thank you so much, Purdy. I just the playful out is going to be on a new sticky list right here in front of me on my wall here. Thank you for giving me that phrase to go along with my no half measures and motivate me to play full out. All right. Thank you so much, Purdy, for a fantastic RECO12 weekly speaker meeting. If you in the audience, if you had other questions, please consider joining our WhatsApp community. You can email me at RECO12pod@gmail.com to join in that conversation. If you're feeling inspired and want to share something, share your insights in a 3 to 4 minute 12-step style recording on RECO12 Share SpeakPipe link, and I will put that here in the chat, and it'll be in the show notes there if you would like to do that. And then if you haven't already done this, please rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts. It's a powerful way to work step 12 and make sure to check out the Afro Euro recordings that Karen A hosts on many Wednesdays. And in fact, this coming Wednesday, Purdy will be on that Afro Euro time zone RECO12 meeting, and his topic will be my spiritual home. So it'll be a different topic, but man, I'm excited. I'm going to totally look forward to listening in on that. That happens Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. UK time. It's in the Afro Euro time zone, so it's a daytime meeting there, and grateful for that and what Karen does there and what you're going to do there, Purdy. Excited about that. Next Friday, we're scheduled to hear from another RECO12 first-time speaker, Andy T., who is scheduled to speak about rebuilding from the rubble. And I'm excited to hear about that. Stay tuned on the WhatsApp community and on our email list for more information on that. And if you aren't on the email list or in that community, send an email. I got a phone call coming in. All right, send an email to RECO12pod@gmail.com to get in on the email list or on the community and ask to be included. Now, let's launch off into the rest of our day with the set-aside prayer that Purdy's going to say for us.
So thank you. Thanks for a really beautiful meeting, Justin. God, today help me set aside everything I think I know about you, everything I think I know about myself, everything I think I know about others, and everything I think I know about my own recovery. Please let me have an open mind and a new experience of all these things. Please help me see the truth. Amen.
Amen. Remember, everybody, there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Keep coming back. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it. You are worth it.
There was a man put his hand by the side of his mouth, and he wanted to scream, but the sound never came out. So he reached for the bottle to wash the pain away, 'cause what he wanted so badly was to live a different way. And all of his problems and all of his pain filled up the puddle and rose with the rain. His ship kept on sinking to the bottom of the lake, and he knew for certain that he was just a fake, just a fake. Was a man put his hand by the side of his mouth, and he wanted to share, but only lies ever came out. So he reached for the needle to numb the pain inside, and the truth that he yearned for shriveled up and died. what lives in the darkness dies in the night. Yeah, what lives in the darkness dies.